Yes, very good. Thank you. Lovely to meet you. And
Me too. Nice to meet you. I'm Mingyun Kim of Atomato.
excuse me, sorry.
I'm Mingyun Kim of company
Mingyun Kim.
Atomato.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. So we've been communicating with you.
Yes, right.
Great.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, very good.
Very good. And can you hear us well?
Yes, perfect.
Great. That's good.
Thank you. Okay.
So may I just ask you one question?
Yeah, sure.
Before we begin?
Yes.
I think you stated in your email that there would be a 5 to 7 minute long speech, which we intend to talk about the evolution of ballroom dancing.
Yes.
But you also mentioned about gaining the OBE and CBE for Richard. I'm just wondering if, because you also mention it in question number 5. So did you want him to speak about it on the question, or did you want him to speak about it before?
Both of them. The
Both.
first
Okay.
session, yes, we really just edited, so.
Great. Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Introduce ourselves.
Right. Okay. Can you just tell us when you're ready, and also just tell us if you would like to record something again, or if there's any technical things that you need us to do. Then just please tell us, and we'll try and accommodate.
Thank you so much. Okay, if you two ready, then shall we start?
Can start. Yeah. So let me just get the notes. Okay. Right, and then I think we are ready. 1 second. Are you ready? What do you think? Yeah. Should I just move across a little bit? Actually, I'm just thinking you can see that door frame. Is it okay? Everything's okay? Let's just tip that slightly. That's better, I think.
Oh, yeah. That's so much better.
That's better. And also, it might be better if we brought the light a little bit nearer. Just 1 second. I'm going to just make the image a little bit brighter.
Yeah, take your time. It's okay.
Okay. It's better to get it. Yeah, that's. I think that's going to be better. Yeah.
And our technician says the dark is better.
Oh, okay. So shall I make that a little bit darker now? Could you just ask him?
Now you two look so gorgeous and perfect. So.
Okay. Good.
I thought I looked gorgeous, yeah.
We need to look gorgeous. That's the most important.
Yeah. Very gorgeous. Oh.
Okay. Okay, right. So when you're ready, I think you're ready, John? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for being here today, and it's really honor to have you two here for our interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, is it okay to call you to Mr. Gleave and Mrs. Gleave? Or
Richard and Anne?
Just, Richard and Anne is fine.
Okay.
Richard and Anne.
Thank you so much. Okay, from now on, I'm gonna ask you to introduce yourself first, and then a speech session, then interview. Is it okay?
Yeah, fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then, first of all, could you introduce yourself, each of you, please?
My name is Richard Gleave.
And my name is Anne Gleave.
Oh, okay. please introduce yourself a little bit longer, and your name and your profile, and you're active or something, please.
Okay.
Okay.
My name is Richard Gleave. I'm a professional dancer who's danced for many, many years. I retired from competing quite a few years ago now, and I enjoy teaching and judging, not only in London, but also throughout the world.
My name is Anne Gleave, and I retired in 1984. Excuse me, 1994. And shall I start again?
It's okay.
Okay, so my name is Anne Gleave. I retired in 1994, and I enjoy teaching, lecturing, adjudicating, as Richard said, not only in the United Kingdom, but throughout the world. And in addition, we have a daughter, so we are parents to a lovely girl, 25-year-old girl. So we're very busy, and we also enjoy researching and developing our art very much.
Oh, thank you so much for your introductions. Now we have a visitor. Beside me, there's a Sophia. Came here to say hello to you two guys. So
Great.
That's nice.
That's nice.
wait a second, please.
Okay. Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hello, Kim. How are you?
Hello, see. Thank
You
you.
Hi.
too. You too. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Are you dancing well?
Yeah.
춤 잘 추고 있냐고. 지금 사업만 한다.
Now she's not dancing, just focus on the business.
All right.
And
Okay.
how is Shin?
Actually, they're divorced.
Oh,
Oh, right.
right. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Well, we're really happy to see you. It's
다시
wonderful
보고
to
싶다고.
see you.
이거 봐서 너무 좋다고. 팬데믹 끝나고 꼭 갈 거라고. 우리 사업하는 선물 들고 많이 들으라고.
She said she's gonna go to see you after pandemic is over with
Right.
a bunch of presents what we made at the business
Oh.
right now.
Thank you.
Well, we'd
Thank you.
be delighted to see you. We've got very many happy memories of spending time with you.
우리도
She's
우리한테는
too.
엔젤이고 젠틀맨. 영국의 최고 젠틀맨하고 엔젤.
Her memory is you are the angel, and Richard was the most gentleman in the United Kingdoms.
Thank you.
I thought I was the devil.
본인은 악마였었다고 해주시는데.
Anne was the angel. And I was the devil.
See you again.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah,
You
take
take care.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry about this.
No
That's fine.
problem.
Okay, now we will start the speech session. So the topic of what you talk about today is the views of dance and appreciation of the value of dance in United Kingdom and the meaning of gained OBE CVE due to the contributions to dance. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Right now, could you give us a speech from now on?
Okay. Well, dance in England and the UK has always been popular, and ballroom dancing has been around in this country since about 1920, 1925, something like that. And it's been developed over many, many years, and has had a big influence on the culture of the English people. At the moment, every week is a very famous dance program called Strictly Come Dancing. I think it is. Is it Strictly Come Dancing?
Strictly Come Dancing. Yes, yes.
And it's the most popular program at the moment on TV. So that will give you an idea how popular dancing really is in the UK. Very, very, very popular. Yeah.
And actually that program goes on throughout the world. So, Strictly Come Dancing is something that has clearly affected people. And when they watch it on the television, it does actually generate a sense of, freedom of spirit and so on. And of course, people love to watch dancing. So this program that we have in the United Kingdom, that was the flagship event, has now been sold, I believe, throughout the world. So, but that's just really sort of the tip of the iceberg of the history of dancing, because as Richard said, ballroom dancing really commenced in the 1920s, and that was the time of our pioneers. And at that time, the pioneers were highly educated people, and in England, certainly at that time, we had quite a strong sense of a class system. And the people that the pioneers of ballroom dancing were really from the higher classes of the United Kingdom. And they were they were highly educated, and they were able to lay down the first ballroom dancing technique. And I believe that there were 4 people involved in the original technique and the writing of it. They were very educated people.
But it actually started in restaurants in London, ballroom dancing, and the music from America came over, what would they call jazz, and they loved the music, these people who were dining. And in those days, the men would wear tail suits and the ladies beautiful silk dresses. And they thought, oh, that's lovely music. What shall we do? Well, why don't we dance? So they got up together and danced. They had, in Foxtrot, 2 steps, what we call today the feather step and the 3-step. And they would do that all the way around. And gradually more and more people picked that up and they wanted to dance. And from that, as Anne said, some very, very intelligent,
highly
educated people became professionals. And one in particular, Josephine Bradley, was right there at the beginning, and she was very much involved in developing the techniques early on. Other people as well, which we'll mention probably as we speak today. But and from that it developed 1920s, 30s, 40s, etc. up until today. The dancing changed, of course, styles changed, and attitudes changed to competitions. Competitions developed, and in England it seems to me that everything we do must be a competition. So if you play football, it's got to be a competition. That developed into the football leagues. It's now worldwide. Cricket is the same thing. It started out as a pastime, but now it's a big competition thing worldwide again. And the same with dancing. It gradually grew from this small circle of people in the centre of London, became very popular. Some of them turned professional. They became very famous teachers. They wrote techniques that became very accepted. Alex Moore is a very well-known name. He wrote one of the very first techniques and put it together. And it's developed tremendously from that beginning.
And of course, life, as they say, life imitates art. And, it's amazing how the development and the evolution of ballroom dancing has run in parallel with social and economic changes in our country. So, if you go back to the 1920s and 30s, when ballroom dancing was in its, embryonic stage, we'll say, the whole spirit of dancing at that time was about elegance, sophistication. And, as I say, that the wealthy upper classes really were the main people at that time who were involved in ballroom dancing. If you then go to the war period, 1940s and 1950s, particularly the post-war era, that then changed. There was a whole new region of dancers that came into ballroom dancing then, because, it was post-war. People were obviously, it was a time of depression, and ballroom dancing became a very, very popular pastime post-war.
And what developed from that at that same time, which is a very good point, people wanted to go out and dance. after the war. During the war, they couldn't do anything. So dancing became very, very popular. They could meet people. Very little TV in those days. And they would go to the Palais de Danse, they were called, these big ballrooms. And there are quite a few in London. Hammersmith Palais was very famous. Locarno, Streatham, other ones that were equally famous. And so they would get there, thousands of people dancing every week. I used to go on a Tuesday and there'd be something like 1,000 people dancing just for fun, just for practice. And as the sort of the English thinking is, oh, let's make this a competition. And that gradually developed into competitive dancing.
Yeah, just coming back to that the chronological order. So, going to the 1960s and 70s, of course, there was a big revolution, I should say, in the 1960s, social revolution particularly. And of course, dancing then changed dramatically because you had dancers that most people in the world would know, Bill and Bobby Irvin, Peter Eggleton and Brenda Winslade, also Walter Laird and Lorraine. This was a revolutionary time in dancing, and women at that time became so much more liberated, we'll say. So that therefore changed the essence of dancing. And then in the 1980s and 1990s, which is the era that I was a part of, then, of course, there was big developments in dancing and the integration, really, of ballroom and Latin coming together, mainly from my era were the children of the 60s, if you like. We were learning in the 60s and we came to fruition in the 80s. And all of the children of those times, they were learning both ballroom and Latin. And I think that's why ballroom had a big developmental period, because we were including the elements of Latin American qualities, really.
Yeah, also relative to the different forms of dance. When I started dancing, I was 8 years old, and I started with what's called old time dancing. And it's a form of dance where you dance 16 bars of a sequence, and everybody dances the same sequence around the room in a circle. And the foot positions are all based on classical ballet. And as a junior, that's what I learned. I did the what's called old time dancing, sometimes called classical dancing these days, until I was about 16, 17, something like that. And so we had these different forms of dance that came and influenced each other. So old time dancing was influenced by ballet, and then it went into modern or ballroom as it became, with the different music coming in and different steps, etc. That the feet stopped turning out like classical ballet. They started to become parallel. And that started what you were saying about the era in the 50s, 60s, etc.
And of course, the advent of the Hollywood industry, that also went on to affect, ballroom choreography, the big band sound, and so on. All of these factors run in parallel. So as I say, life really does imitate art. And if we bring it right up to the current day, with the advent of modern technology, which of course has speeded our lives up immensely. If you think about choreography and dancing in general today, we have energy, we have speed, and we have a whole new world to deal with. And very often, you can have a partnership where one part of the partnership is living in one country and one part in another. So it's really, I suppose, learning on the go. Rather than, in our day, we would be, dancing together, living together, and, therefore all the time in the world for perfection. So I think things have certainly changed. There's a rapid learning process, and that has gone on to affect, the dancing that we see today. So that's my point, really, that in the evolution of dance, certainly life imitates art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People just after the war in the 50s, people like Wally Fry and Violet Barnes, Len Scrivener and Nellie Duggan, Sonny Binnick and Sally Brock, they were the great champions in the 50s and maybe slightly into the 60s. And then the other great dancers such as Bill Irvin, and Bobby, Peter Eggleton, Brenda Winslade, they came through and developed things further and so on. So development has been gradual, but very interesting. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Okay. From now on, actually, Are You Sad already is include all the interviews answer, right? So it's gonna
We
be
have plenty to say, don't worry.
okay. So we will start the interview from now on, and each of you can answer for this same questions, or one of you can answer it for them. Okay, first questions. Could you introduce about the Freedom to Dance International?
Yeah, sure. In 2010, I think it was, the United Kingdom Championships, a lot of couples were banned from dancing in that competition, in that championship. Not just English couples, but foreign couples. And I was rather annoyed that these young dancers had been stopped from dancing in big competitions, especially something like the United Kingdom Championship, which is a major championship. And these couples, these young couples, had been told they couldn't dance. And I got rather annoyed about it. And I said to somebody at the UK Championships, United Kingdom Championships, what can I do about this? And they said to me, well, you can open a Facebook. And I said, well, what's a Facebook? I had no idea what a Facebook was in those days. And he said to me, actually it was Augusto Schiavo, said to me, I'll open it for you. I'll come and show you how to do it. So he came home with us from Bournemouth. He got onto the computer and he set up this Facebook, showed me what I had to do. And that's how it started. And within 24 hours, we had 1,000 members, 1,000 people. So I realized that the need for this was very strong. And I gave it the name Freedom to Dance because I'm a great believer in the principle. And the principle is clear, it's freedom. And nobody can really speak against that. And this is what I think really was the main strength of it, certainly at the beginning, the word freedom, freedom to dance, allowing people to dance as they wish to within the rules, of course, but not stopping, especially young dancers who at that age, it's their time best time for them to dance in their life maybe. And there they are being stopped from competing. So that was the basis of it. And then it went from there.
Yeah, and actually after a year, 2011, we organised the very first Freedom to Dance competition. And in that same year, someone organised an event in Singapore. So effectively, Freedom to Dance International was born. And since that time, so that would, in fact, this year would have been our 10th anniversary. In those 10 years, we now have 26 countries organising 62 events throughout the world. So, I mean, that's beyond our wildest dreams. We really never expected that to happen. But I think, as Richard said, because he believed so much in the principle, I think that generally the public follow the principle. And that's where I feel that, you know, we feel very happy that we've been able to help the dance community, even if it's in a small way.
Yeah. And that's the reason I think it was supported, because it was seen to be a move for freedom for people to dance. I think that's why.
And it was when we commenced it, we organised the competition for 4 years. It was a non-profit making competition. And actually, we were so happy that in the last year that we ran the event, we were able to give £3,000 to both the professional ballroom and Latin competitions as a first prize. That was just the first prize, and then we gave, you know, considerable prize money to all the other finalists, and that was the icing on the cake for us, really. But that was all thanks to the great sponsorship that we had.
Yeah.
Very kind generosity really of dance supporters and lovers through our sponsors.
Yeah.
Wow. First of all, congratulations for your 10th anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have to celebrate it next year, I think, or the year after. But
Well, I've heard that you two started dance very early age. Is that normal in your countries or in your dance industry?
when I was 6 years old, my parents took my sister and I along to the local dance studio because they thought that when we were older, it would be very nice if we went to a dinner and dance, and that if somebody asked us to dance, we would be able to get up and do so. So their thoughts really about taking my sister and I along to a dance studio was really for a social grace. They were not thinking that one day it would become a career. But of course, I got hooked. And so, once I'd started dancing, I couldn't stop. But I don't know, I suppose 6 is relatively young because my sister was 5 years older than myself. So I suppose 10 or 11 would be a normal age, but they just happened to take us both along. So, but I'm glad I did start at the age I did, because I do think it helps if you can commence dancing at an early age, because it tends to create balance, coordination, and all the other, assets that you need as a dancer. But I think you started a little bit later, didn't you?
I started at 8 years old dancing, and I went to a lady, and this was old time dancing, and I basically learned 3 things in that time that I was with her. I learned many different dances, routines in old time dancing, but 3 important things that carried me on forever in my professional career. 1 was stretch your ankles. 2, bend your knees and push off the back leg. And 3 was stretch the front of the body. So I had feet, knees, and body, 3 things. And she would repeat those things every week. Every week she repeated those things for about 5 years. And I thanked her very much for giving me this base from which I developed. So foot stretch, knees bend, and then make sure you stretch the front of the body.
She probably told you not to be cheeky as well.
And don't be cheeky. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
don't be naughty.
Yeah. And then after that, so when I was about 14, I started dancing ballroom, waltz, tango, foxtrot, quickstep, Viennese, that sort of thing, in the same little town that I was living in. And then gradually went into amateur at 16, and then danced as an amateur at 16. Yeah. So early start is a good idea generally for children, I think.
Well, 3 most valuable and important.
3 very
Absolutely.
important. That's right.
You didn't need another lesson, you realise that?
I got it, yeah, 3 lessons. 3.
But maybe no one knows that most important lessons make you two such a big and legendary people. Like it's it's really great. Anyway, as you said, back in 2010, in that season, the internet system doesn't convenient like these days, and only 10 years. How could you make FTD, the Freedom to Dance, big and famous like this in that short period?
Well, I think it's connected to the words again, what I said before, the principle of freedom. And when people approach us to run a Freedom to Dance competition, we always say yes. I don't think we've ever refused anywhere, have we?
No.
And there's only one rule in Freedom to Dance, and that is don't ban people. Don't ban competitors from dancing. And in many countries, you've got 2 organizations, this organization A and organization B, and sometimes they don't agree with each other, and then they will ban each other's couples, which is not great for dancing. So I think the idea of freedom to dance is to allow everybody to dance freely without any let or hindrance. And this encourages dancing, therefore, in that country. And I think it's about 25 countries, is it?
26, yeah.
26 countries now it's in. And that's the only thing that we ask. Don't ban people. It's freedom to dance.
But I think one of the greatest achievements that we felt was that in 2010, when there was this schism in ballroom dancing, it was devastating, to the couples particularly, more than the retired professionals, of course. It was devastating, although it affected us quite profoundly. But what's happened in 10 years, which we never thought would happen, is that at many events, the WDC couples, the WDSF couples dance together on the floor with mixed judges, and these two, if we say fractious organisations, actually dancing and coming together and in a peaceful way. And that's really all that we wanted to happen. And to think that that has happened within 10 years is wonderful. And of course, we're not totally integrated as a whole profession, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's stepping stones. And let's hope that over the next 10 years, we will become an integrated dance system again. And perhaps because of this pandemic, it's been a devastating thing to the world. And often out of these disastrous situations comes something that's good. And if through this disaster, our dance world can unite, I can't think of anything better to happen. So, we only pray that perhaps out of this awful time, that maybe the dance world can unite again.
Well, you too said that the freedom to dance is only principle, but I think you too affected a lot because of you too could follow, make people follow your principles and your rules and your mind and ideas, everything. Maybe everyone could feel what you think.
Well, I think
it's mainly the name freedom dance. People want to dance and they want to feel danced to freely. And I think it is that principle.
But I think also,
so strong.
I mean, you Richard wouldn't say this, but I think that he is revered in our business, and because of his record, and also he's always been a very respected person, not just because of his record, and because he stands up for principles. So I think part of the reason that so many people followed freedom really is because of Richard and what he stands for.
Well, thank you very much.
So now you're going to be embarrassed. But it's true.
Okay. This one is I heard you received OBE and CBE. It sounds not familiar for the Korean, but what does it mean by winning those awards in the United Kingdom? And what kind of view do you think people have on dance in your country?
The awards, OBE, is three major ones, the MBE, OBE and CBE. I was very fortunate to be given the OBE, and in a general sense, it means that you're good at your job and you're doing something for the community you live in. So the dance community, freedom to dance was good for the dance community. And I also had a record of being a good dancer. And I think that's where that came from. These awards are given by the Queen. And so they are the highest awards that you can get in this country. And then the CBE means Commander of the British Empire. And I believe it means, I'm believing this, I'm not quite sure, but I think it means that you're good at your job, but you've done something also for the country. And I think that comes from,
And the world, actually.
and the world, sorry,
International.
I
It's
meant
an
to say the world,
international award.
international, yeah. And I think that comes from Freedom to Dance spreading to many, many countries in the world. It's in China, it's in America, Italy, you name it, Germany, France. There's competitions labeled Freedom to Dance competition. So they're the three major awards. There are others, but they're the three major ones: MBE, OBE, CBE. And I was very fortunate and very happy to receive the CBE earlier this year. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
Actually,
you.
I look up I googled what's the meaning of CBE, and I was surprised the meaning of CBE, and oh my God, how can I interview to, such a wonderful and honorable people like you? It's really honor to me.
It's our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Okay. Next question is, have you ever tried any online system in the FTD events?
So far, we haven't. There's been a year's, if we like, fallow period, obviously, because of the pandemic. And I don't know yet, we haven't heard from the organisers whether the event will take place in May next year. In London, the May event. So we're not sure yet of their plans.
I think everybody's waiting.
We're waiting, yeah.
To see what happens.
But as for online competitions, that's something that I guess the organisers would have to answer. But who knows in the future? Things are developing and evolving all the time, and so who knows? But at the moment, I don't think there are any plans in England anyway to run online competitions, but that may be something that will go on in Freedom to Dance International in the future.
Okay. How is the pandemic affecting FTD events this year?
I think it's affected them quite dramatically, actually, throughout the world. I'm not actually sure.
But in this country, it has been bad, very bad.
Yeah.
But I know in other countries, they're still running competitions. I know China is still running open competitions. I think Japan, I believe.
Actually, I recently judged a competition in China that was under the Freedom to Dance banner. It was about 1 month ago. So it was an online competition. So that I guess that where it's possible, competitions will still take place, but certainly in the United Kingdom at the moment, nothing is taking place from a competitive point of view. But let's hope. We have a vaccine on the way, so let's hope.
Yeah.
What do you think pros and cons of enabled times, and how is this affecting the dance industry?
Sorry, could you repeat the question again?
What do you think pros and cons about the online system, online times, and how is this affecting the dance industry from now on?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, the fact that we do actually have online dance competitions is wonderful. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Because there's all sorts of technical difficulties with bringing so many different countries together. And as good as modern technology is, that you cannot really produce a competition where everybody's going to look on time and everybody's video actually doesn't sort of fracture in some way or freeze or all of these little problems. So it's not perfect, but it has retained a spirit throughout the world of competitive dancing. And I really do take my hat off to any organizer or any competitor that continues to be a part of our dance world during these really, really difficult times. So, obviously in the future, I hope that we will return to, normal events. and that the online competitions were just a substitute in a way. But from a point of view of lessons, again, that's been absolutely wonderful. We've given Zoom lessons and enjoyed
Well,
every
Zoom,
moment.
Zoom lessons, yeah, very good.
Enjoyed every
Excellent.
moment.
Yeah, enjoyed them.
And we really never thought we would. So I think there's so much perhaps of this period of time that will continue beyond the pandemic.
I think Zoom lessons will become popular,
Yeah.
more popular. For the couples, it's much cheaper, no airfare, no travel costs, no hotel, and they can, still communicate dance-wise, and we can give our opinion about the dancing and stuff like that. So I think it will actually be a good thing overall. Yeah.
I think competitions are a little bit harder.
Different, yeah,
I think that's a
different,
bit harder,
yeah.
but certainly lessons and lectures even, I think, on Zoom are a very good possibility.
And with competitions, you've got the problem of seeing and hearing, and the timing is subtly different. What you see and what you hear, so you hear the music and you see the couple dancing, it's not always exactly in synchronization. So you think, are they out of time or not? So that is a problem for competitions.
Oh, yeah, right. There's some gap between the time and the music and
That's
real
right, yeah.
movements.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see. Okay. What do you think the dance industry will be like post-corona, and how can we deal with the changes after the pandemic is over?
Well, I think the human species are very imaginative, and I think that we will, everybody in the dance business will do their best. They'll be imaginative in ideas like Zoom, for instance. And I think we'll see all sorts of perhaps new ways of dancing internationally. And I think it will encourage a lot of people in other ways that we're not doing at the moment. And so I think the mind is open at the moment. Our minds are open to what's going to happen. And you never know, a lot of good could come from this, from the dancing point of view, gradually, not immediately, but gradually things will, I think, develop again into a great sporting and artistic genre.
I mean, actually, the other period of time where we had a break in ballroom dancing was after the war. So there was a 5-year break, I believe, during the Second World War. And when the ballroom dancing fraternity returned, there was evidently a huge amount of camaraderie, friendliness, helping each other. I think people couldn't afford tail suits, for example, and they used to share them.
Share the tail suit.
And dance dresses and things like this. So, I really feel that perhaps when we do return, the camaraderie between us all and, helping one another and producing a peaceful environment in our dance world, I'm really looking forward to that. And I really hope that happens, because I think that's the only way we're going to bring ourselves beyond this, is to really work together and to help one another. And if we can do that, then our ballroom dancing world will survive, because it has at the heart of it a great spirit of art, and art will survive.
Right. Art never gonna die.
No, exactly. No. Dancing's been around.
Well, dancing and music are the two. I think music particularly is a big factor. It's the reason I dance, really. I think when I look back on it, is to just love the music, and I love the feel of moving the body to that music. And I think that's what people will really get back to.
And I believe that psychologists know that in, for example, in African tribes, or many years ago, dance was a very important part of making people happy. And so psychologists are very aware that dance is an important part of happiness. So, whether we go back into the beginning of time in a tribe or whatever, or to today, it's still going to make us happy.
You're right. And that's why the old in historical, there's a magician is the always survived, and one of the top how to say top position. I don't know how to express,
Yeah.
but anyway, the magic of the dance and the spiritual power of something
Mm,
always affect to the people,
Yes.
I think.
that's right.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Okay. Now a lot of things and services and businesses are becoming enabled, such as online dance competition as you attended, and virtual dance forum like this. And what is FTD Festival planning for 2021?
Well, at the moment we don't know actually, because the organisers I think are still waiting to see what transpires with the vaccine and so on. So of course we hope to be back live in 2021, but we're not sure yet what that will be. But I'm sure as soon as the organisers know, they will inform everybody.
But we're very hopeful.
Yes, we are.
Hopeful.
We are. Yeah.
Okay, I heard there are numerous dance genres. What kind of dance is FTD specialized in?
Freedom to Dance specializes in ballroom and Latin. And also recently, in the last year or so, wheelchair dancing has come into it. And that will grow. I'm sure it will grow with time. So ballroom and Latin, they're the two big competitions, plus some wheelchair dancing as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's it really.
Yeah, they're the two. Yeah. No jazz yet. Or classical ballet.
we do try to cater for all age groups though. So from juvenile, which is under 12, through to junior, which is under 16, and then youth, which is up to 18 or 21, depends on what country you're in, and then seniors and pro-ams, as well as amateur and professional. So we try to cover all those aspects of competing, so everyone is involved and everyone's included.
Yeah.
Thank you. What do you think about creating dance competition by working collaborated with any other dance genres?
Well, we were talking about this actually. I mean, obviously, it would be wonderful to include other forms of dance such as ballet, jazz, contemporary. There's all sorts of forms of dance. The only problem I suppose we have is the restriction of a timetable. And if you're running a one-day event to try and fit both ballroom and Latin, various categories, and then other forms of dance, there's just no time. So if it became a dance festival where you're looking at more than 3 days probably, then it may be possible to include other forms of dance. But at the moment,
it's not practical at the moment, I don't think. Yeah.
But who knows in the future?
You never know.
Yeah, right. Okay. How do you envision the future of dance during and after the pandemic as a dancer?
Well, that's a good question. I hope that ballroom dancing will continue to evolve and develop, of course, and I hope that we will not lose too many dancers in this process, because obviously there are going to be financial difficulties for the couples, for the young professionals, who we feel for very much, and we are very concerned about that, and that's to the forefront of our thoughts on Freedom to Dance. We are thinking of ways of being able to help the young professionals.
And I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think also very famous and large competitions such as Blackpool, the British Championships, the International United Kingdom Championships, the very big ones, not only in this country, but in other countries as well, as in China, Korea, Japan, etc., Italy. People will want to dance, and they the human species, I think, wants to compete. I think they will want to compete against each other. Who's the best here? And I think they will want to dance at Blackpool again, and all these other great competitions throughout the world. And I just think it's in the nature of the human to want to be measured in whatever form of competitive dance or sport there is.
Yeah, and I think they say, don't they, that individuals may change, but great institutions continue. So the great institutions of the Blackpool Dance Festival, the United Kingdom Championships, international championships, and all these great international events throughout the world will continue. The people within them may change perhaps, but the great institutions will continue.
Yeah.
So dancers have to be hanging there, even there.
They do. They do.
Hang in. That's it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Okay. What you've seen dance industry so far, what do you think that biggest change?
Biggest change. I think the styles of dancing in ballroom especially has changed and gradually evolved. And in the past, the most important thing was probably movement in the ballroom section, the movement, the gliding actions in foxtrot, for instance, and the quality of movement to music. And that has developed, but other things have developed with it as well. So now you have people more interested and very interested in what look is like, what's the style of the couple, and what was accepted in 1930 would not survive today. And like every sport and every pastime of that nature, things develop, and usually for the better. Overall, certain things develop for the better, some things don't. But here today, everybody in a competition these days looks good. Their top line is clear, their posture's pretty good, the dress code is excellent. You very rarely see a bad tail suit anymore, and the girls look great, these wonderful dresses. So that side of things, the visual aspect of dancing, has developed tremendously. And I think probably that will continue with the greater choreographic study. No.
Well, I think it's safe to say you are a legend of dance. For me, it's true. So, what does dance mean to you too? And how did it have influence on you?
Well, I can only speak from a personal point of view, but I don't feel that I'm a legend, and I think that it's a very commonly used word today. I think I live with a legend, but I don't feel that I am a legend myself. The only thing I can say with honesty is that I think that the era that I danced in, with Marcus and Karen, Andrew and Lorraine and John and I feel that was a legendary time in dancing. That I think I can say with honesty, but I don't feel that I'm a legend. And I think when I was a little girl, a legend was someone that had passed away. So I kind of feel, it's not something I really think about. But if, as I say, through that era that I danced in, I think that was a special time, and I feel proud of that.
The reason that I danced was really the great feel I had to music. That's what I really enjoyed, and that was the reason I danced. I never thought about results. I never thought, I must win this. This was not my goal. My goal was to dance well. And when I wrote notes about dancing, it was never, I must win this competition or that. No, it's not the end result, it's how you get there. And for me, the feeling of trying to move with great quality and great musicality in every dance was the driving thing. And then other things come in, like looking good, making sure the style is good and body lines and things like that. And out of that comes the results. If you study hard enough, and we danced 6 nights a week, practiced 6 nights a week, and had lessons regularly during the week. So we did a lot of work on it. Yeah. So work hard and get the goals right. Forget the results. You can't control them. And just develop your dancing. It's as good as you can get it.
Oh, it sounds like too humble, but
I'm sure it's true.
well, okay. This one is the last questions. What would you say to the younger dancers who admire you and wish to follow your step?
Okay, looks like I'm going first. I would say first and foremost, enjoy every moment of your dancing. Enjoy the learning process. Yes, do set goals because they're very important. But I would say as much as you must use your body and to have a body that is physically prepared to dance, and that of course is exceptionally important. If you don't have a machine that can do the job, then of course you're not going to be able to dance for your optimum. So prepare your machine to dance. And I would also say use your intelligence. So learn how you learn best. It could be through your visual learning. It could be through your intelligence of reasoning. It could be through your ear, through your sight. It could be through many things. But, you know, understand how you learn best. Use your intelligence and forget results, really. If you have a bad result, move forward. Don't look back. Just look forward and love every moment. That would be my advice. Because your competing life is very short, actually. It's gone within the blink of an eye. So enjoy every moment.
Yeah. I would say again, I'll come back to what I said earlier, the love of dance, the feeling of dance is what really attracted me and kept me going. Of course, did I want to win? Yes, I did want to win. But that was not in my control. That control is in the judges, and I just hope to try and dance as best I could. And that's my advice to everybody. Really study dancing, enjoy it, and get a good partner. Good.
The last part was the most important thing, I think. Get a good partner.
Get a good partner.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Really, thank you for the interview. And today I moved a lot and touching stories, and I could feel your feeling how care the people and dancers at this moment, and I could feel how you love the dance and everything. So really thank you for the interview.
We're very lucky, and thank you for some lovely questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day, and I wish to have a chance to meet you two in person someday
That
soon.
would be nice.
That would be wonderful.
That'd be nice.
In the meantime, stay healthy and stay well.
And
Yes.
keep dancing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
day, and thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
So, bye-bye. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Is everything okay? Do you need to film anything again, or everything okay?
Everything
fine.
was perfect.
Great. That's
Lovely.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, many thanks.
Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. 우와. 1시간 됐어요? 와우. 50분. 와우.
1시간이에요, 1시간.
50분이